Welcome to the Back Row Fantasy Show with your hosts, Jeremy Barker, Aaron Arms, and Chad Niddle.
Let's just let that play all the way out.
And good night.
Hey, welcome to the Back Row Fantasy Show, where we're going to play it twice.
Just gonna
replay? Not really.
Did you play in that?
No. How's it going? I'm Bark. To my left is Arms. To my right is Knit.
Hola.
Knit's
hello.
nice and freshly cut and drinking out of what looks like a silver solo cup. Silver solo cup.
10 solo cup.
I kind of like it.
I'll feel
It's a nice looking cup.
It's nearly indestructible.
So what's a haircut like?
Huh?
Notice you recently got one of those. What's a haircut like?
Did I? No, does my hair look?
Did you?
It looks
No?
been 14 years since I've had a haircut.
He just looked in the mirror this morning and was like, I want to look 14 again. That's like that. That's that style that, you're like, I'm going to get me some women.
He's like, I'm not a doll, I'm a real boy.
Tight and right, baby. That's what I tell him. Keep it tight. I comb it right.
Keep it tight. Hit it right. Keep it tight. Hit it right.
Little Bubba Sparks up in here?
Yeah. Arms knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Arms knows.
Sparks.
Greatest rapper alive.
Is he
Indeed.
still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Oh. He did disappear for the last decade, so...
No, he's actively
Which is
producing
saying
music.
something because he's the size of me and Arms.
Yeah.
So for him to
Dude,
disappear.
he lost a lot of weight, actually.
It took an act of government control to make him disappear.
Absolutely.
Some sort of witness protection type program.
Bubba Sparks ain't afraid of nothing.
No.
How old is he? Like
Greatest
72?
rapper alive.
No.
Wasn't he pretty old when he started rapping?
No, he's way younger than Eminem.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
he's
didn't
probably
come
in
around
his-
until, 2005, something like that, maybe?
I would venture to say he's probably 38-ish. 38-ish,
something like that.
Something like that. Man, you're going to make me Google this.
No, I got it because
Okay.
I'm the one answering the question. How many
Man,
X's?
you gonna make me break out my Google?
How many X's? Was it 3 X's?
I think it's 3 X's.
Okay.
Like Moonshine,
SPAR.
XXX.
XXX.
Wait,
Yeah,
that might be
yeah.
Lisa Sparks.
Ooh. I'd rather
never
watch
mind.
Lisa Sparks than listen to Bubba Sparks.
I don't know. man.
Is that how the
All
Los
day.
Angeles Sparks? Is that how the Los Angeles Sparks?
No, that's not how they.
They just went CKS.
No,
Or-
No,
RKS.
Yeah.
Whatever.
CKS.
Did I spell Spax?
That spell sucks. Los Angeles
man.
sucks.
You said Spax, and it reminded me of something
AJ Spackman.
dire. No, unfortunately.
It's too early for a. Oh, it's too early for a spelling bee.
This is a weird connection.
Even if it's like middle school / elementary. Sorry, go ahead.
You said Spax, and it made me
Spax.
think of Stan Lee.
Oh,
I can't. I'll tell you why in a second, but
I wouldn't-
moment of silence. Okay.
We have plenty of those throughout the show. There are
We do.
awkward moments of silence.
Awkward moment of silence.
So
This
tell-
one's for Stan.
Why Spax?
You said Spax, and it reminded me of a clip I watched yesterday where Stan Lee is the FedEx guy in Civil War, the movie Civil War, and he shows up to give Tony Stark a package. He's like, "Are you Tony Stank?" And the War Machine guy's like, "Yep, Tony Stank. You're at the right place, buddy."
Nice.
He said Spack, and it reminded me of Stank, and I watched that clip yesterday and shed a tear just because.
I did see a nice little commemorative meme, and it was Stan Lee showing up to heaven and God saying to him, "You're pretty good at creating universes yourself there, kid."
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Stan Lee, the Marvel guy. Oh, I forgot. And it's like, oh, watch that stuff. I'm not 12, even though I comb my hair over like I'm 12.
Hey, Niddle's
I need a good front.
all business.
He is. He
All
is
business, apparently.
We're watching.
He does a fantasy football podcast, but
Yeah.
all business. Doesn't know what Iron Man is. I've never heard of Infinity War. What's this?
We're watching Marvel movies, and he's at home watching Business and Dollars on CNN Money.
Is that
Sure.
a thing?
I made
it
it.
is.
It's probably close.
Business and dollars. I feel like that's actually a
It's
thing.
something like that.
Business and dollars. It
Business
sounds
and Dollars
so
on CNN Money.
generically correct.
Yes. It sounds like something CNN would have.
We may have to look that up.
Welcome to Business and Dollars with Chad Niddle.
Yes. Today, the Dow has dropped 0.2%. The Dow.
You were so close to getting that right.
Business. And
Today
Dow.
we're talking about football and fantasy.
Football and fantasy,
So
and the Dow NFL percent went.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about with that. When I hear Dow, I think of, the cow, but the Dow.
I always felt
Was that the opening? That sounded like the opening to that In Together Now.
it is.
I think
we talked about.
the cow. The Dow.
Those-
is down 3 points.
Can we stop talking about anything involving the Dow?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, move on.
Nick Mullins, not that good. We've got the interview right here. Don't look at my mouth. We're on the phone with Brett Favre. Brett Favre, are you surprised that Nick Mullins is mediocre? I'm not surprised. There's a reason he wasn't drafted. I've watched him his whole career. I'm not surprised that he didn't have a good game tonight. Well, there you go.
The only
Any
people
follow.
remotely surprised are delusional Raiders fans, and they're all sitting there like, "What? What? No, we're that bad. We're that bad."
I mean, Nick
We
Mullins wasn't god awful, but it wasn't
we can
great.
make a very parish quarterback look spectacular against our defense.
Yeah, I mean they just let Pierre Garçon run free a couple times against them. I mean, Raiders bad. Nick Mullins is almost as bad.
Yeah, he's not great. Hopefully he shakes it off and has another good game after this one. But
He tries real hard though.
he does try real
He
hard.
tries really hard. When
He's
he
a
goes
good
out there.
kid. He's a good cookie.
Honestly, I watched most of the game last night, and there's a lot of throws you're like, man, that kid's just putting it on the money. The very next play throws it a yard behind him, and you're like,
There was a couple though.
that's the difference between a professional quarterback and a practice squad quarterback.
consistency. But there was the interceptions that, or at least the one interception that, again, your boy, quick guy, Marquise Goodwin,
Okay, that's a good one.
deflected to B.J. Goodson.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one's more on Goodwin. I mean, it was a zone coverage, and Goodwin continued to run. And you saw Nick Mullins on the sideline look at the little blue thing.
Like Microsoft.
Looked at the
Surface
surface, and he was
tablet.
kind of disgusted. 100% on Goodwin,
That's a CNN money tablet.
Yeah.
I can't believe you don't know what it is.
I know. Man, you run through. Zone, you sit down. It was zone. He continued to run through. And that one's on the receiver. That's the difference between a practice squad receiver and a guy who's really fast. That's the only reason Goodwin's in this game.
Correct.
Ouch.
He's not really that good of a receiver. He's just faster than
Jimmy
everyone
G
else.
made him look real good. But
Yeah, but for 50 catches, 900 yards? I mean, okay.
He's good at going this way.
No Pro Bowls yet.
Yeah.
No Pro Bowls.
Goodwin
So,
runs this way.
He's Dante
very
Stallworth.
well. When he runs this way, not so good.
Yeah, he's like a Ted Ginn light.
He's good at going vertical.
Ted
and
Ginn
not
can actually go
horizontal.
left and right.
He can. That's why I call Goodwin a light. Ted
Okay.
Ginn light.
Yeah.
The Saints signed Brandon Marshall as a Dez replacement. Dez tore his Achilles that fast.
First practice.
First practice, last play of the practice.
I listened to her podcast and fast forwarded it through the first 10 minutes of it because all we talked about was Des.
because it was completely irrelevant. But it was such a
Iggy.
good topic.
Okay. So they threw up the X. Apparently, most of the Saints really respect him, want him back on the team, which, is amazing considering you practiced with him one time.
Yeah.
But,
Dude, like Nate Burleson on NFL Network was wearing a Dez shirt that was like gold, and it was D, and it was the symbol sideways to make an E, the Saint symbol turned sideways, whatever that's called.
gosh.
And a Z, and
A
I'm
fleur de lis.
Fleur de Lis. I was trying to think of
the
what
guy
it was.
literally never played a down, not even in preseason for the Saints. Guys,
Yeah.
okay.
He is loved.
I think he would have been the de facto number 2 receiver, and I don't think Brandon Marshall's going to be that.
No.
Simple.
Brandon Marshall is going to catch a ball a game.
Slot in
One or
behind Cam
two.
Meredith.
Yeah. Well, Cam's on IR.
So
Okay.
I know you like Brandon Marshall, but he's just not what he used to be.
No, I don't. He hadn't created separation in 3 years, so he's done.
Like
Terrell Owens is a better wide receiver.
I would
right now.
actually. I think
I
that would
would
have been
have
a
signed
better,
Terrell Owens.
better signing, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I think Chad Ochocinco or Johnson or whatever he goes by these days.
he's been awfully quiet.
Yeah. Why has he not been trying to get
He's
signed?
been awfully quiet. I don't know. He'd be a good.
He
he'd
must
be a
have
good.
talked-
Chad Ocho Johnson Jr.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay.
He'd be a good signing for the
Isn't
Saints.
his son a wide
Ocho.
receiver? Chad Ochocinco the third.
He is. Yeah.
I think so.
He is.
Did his father change his name?
I
Did Chad
highly doubt
Johnson-
that. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how do you
Is
become
there a
the third?
Chad Ochocinco Sr.?
No.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, he just decided that he was the junior already, so he's gonna remain a junior.
even though, okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about some surprises. Week 10 brought us a ton.
Did we mention Cooper Cup being on IR? I think
We did
pre-show.
before the show, but not after, which is
Moment.
moment of silence.
You don't need a moment of silence for a torn
Cup?
ACL.
You don't even know who Stan Lee was, and you were silent for
He'll-
a
I
second.
know
You're like,
Stan
who?
Lee.
First off, he'll be back.
It took me a second.
He'll be
All
back,
right.
and he'll be as good as he was. The interesting thing to me is Josh Reynolds. I think that's going to be an interesting play. Not immediately, though.
Who's going to play the slot? That's my question. Is Robert Woods going to go to the slot, and then Reynolds take the outside?
All I'm saying
Because
is
if so, I think you could dial all three of them up again.
that's
just
what I'm saying.
like you would have been able to.
Probably not in the next couple weeks. Let him get completely acclimated back into the role, so to speak. But he might be someone who's interesting to play during the fantasy playoffs.
I'll give you another interesting scenario, and I broke down some game film last night.
Yes.
I went back.
Josh Reynolds.
I went no.
Okay, I was like, really?
Of Gerald Everett. They're second. No, they split him out into the slot quite a bit. So
Each tight end caught a touchdown pass yesterday.
they're not. I'm not saying they're not like Josh Reynolds will be their slot receiver, but not have the snap count of a Cooper Cup because they will try to install Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett's a receiving tight end primarily. He was like,
You think Reynolds plays the slot?
huh?
You think Reynolds plays the slot?
I know he's more of an outside receiver, but who are you going to do? Do you shift Robert Woods more into?
I do,
That's
if
what
I'm
I
the
do.
team.
Yeah, but they have that option of bringing in, giving Gerald Everett a little bit more playing time in a split out, whether it is the slot or on the strong side of the offense by himself. I mean, however you want to do it. It's just it's not going to be a direct replacement with Josh Reynolds. That's all I'm getting.
Oh,
at.
it won't. What I'm saying is keep an eye on him. If you can get him for nothing and you have someone that's hot garbage ready to drop,
Yeah.
right now I'd rather have Josh Reynolds on my team than Terrell Pryor.
He will not put
yeah,
up Cooper
Pryor
Cup.
didn't do anything yet.
See, he's not going to be Cooper Cup because, I mean, frankly, Cooper Cup's a good receiver. Josh Reynolds, if he gets moved,
Leaving me with the hazelnut, eh?
if he gets
I
acclimated
don't do
appropriately into the role, now that it's all right, this is your job for the rest of the season. Get out there and prove something. Good chance for him to actually have a successful, the rest of the year, particularly week 13, 14, 15, right in the midst of your fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he could be a admirable fill-in.
Yeah.
Yes.
At best, though,
He's a
at
better
best.
flyer than Alex Erickson that I suggested over the weekend because I thought he was going to get some extended play where A.J. Green was out.
Who?
And Alex Erickson.
I know who you're talking about. The return guy for the Cincinnati?
Yeah, man, he's been targeted the last 5 games, and then you've got a receiver out
once?
with an injury. No, 4, 3, not too bad. And then you put the dots together and think Alex Erickson might get some run, and no targets. Okay. By the way, Tyler Boyd needs A.J. Green to put up big games.
I was very hesitant whenever Boyd. Sometimes you need a a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in order to take that pressure off the number 2, and that's one of the concerns I had about Galladay. I wasn't 100% sure that he was going to be able to step in, game 1 of being the quote unquote the guy and take off with it. And I mean, he did okay, but
He was all right.
he wasn't what you expected getting that extra 5 targets that he was going to get with Golden Tate out.
No. And that offense just couldn't get it going. The Saints defense actually looked pretty good. If they get to be, I'm not saying really good, but better than they have been.
The Bengals are so bad. Like, dude, they're just.
They were a winning record team
For the
going
love
into
of
the
God,
game.
fire Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, needs to happen.
Well,
why
did you
is-
see who he hired?
Hugh Jackson.
Shut up.
No.
Please,
Hugh-
did this really happen?
Yes. The position has
For
not
what?
been it's not been announced. The position has not been announced, but he is back in the fold. So,
God.
I know, man. It's
That's like trying to stuff crap back up your butt. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You got rid of him. He was not the reason that Andy Dalton was successful in the past. that was one of his up and down years. Andy Dalton's like the yo-yoest quarterback ever. It had nothing to do with freaking Hugh Jackson. Jesus criminy. You guys, Ohio football, sad state right now.
I thought for a second Arms was taking the cans off and walking out. You know what?
I'm done with this. Dude, the Browns won. Can we transition to that? Like, can we just say the Bengals are bad? Like,
The Bengals are. They're just like so many teams in the league right now. They are hit and miss. You got Miami at 5-5. I think the Bengals are at 5-5. There's a handful of other teams that early on in the season were like, oh, look, they're undefeated at 3-0. Like, doesn't matter.
You know what the best thing about being in Ohio and not being a Bengals fan is that reaction when the Bengals win. Whenever they have that hot streak where I think they were 5-1.
It's just like the Buckeyes. They're the best team in the world.
See, I'm not insane like that. Alabama's the best team till further notice. But you get the Bengals, and all the Bengals fans are like, yeah, it's our year, man. It's our year. Dude, we are just playoffs, Super Bowl, baby. And then they lose, and you're like, and the Bengals fans are like, one loss. It's one loss, man.
And then you've got the humble Browns fans that are like, yeah, we're probably not going to win this one. And then when they do, all the Browns fans are like, woof, woof, Brownies, 2-6, woof, woof, woof. They're 2-5-1.
I was going to say like 2-6-1,
2-5-1 or something like two, maybe something like that. But dude, Baker is the real deal. I know we've already said it a few times, but did you see the throw he made on the run across his body to Higgins in the end zone?
Yes,
it was like a 40-yard dart that he made on the run. That was exactly where it needed to be. I saw that and I was like,
it was his lowest percentage of probability of completion the entire game. They did like some sports science on it. I don't know where they get that information, but
it's a fantastic throw, and he is a fantastic leader. Like we said pre-season, the reason we liked him so much is because he is a leader. He's going to rally the guys. He's going to play his heart out.
I've said it a million times. He's not Johnny Manziel.
No, he is. I don't know who to compare him to, but he's that guy that you have so much respect for that, gets knocked out of the game and will not stay out of the game. He's just that guy. His competitiveness is.
I'll go to Arms. I'll go to Arms as a comp on him. I think he's a young Drew Brees with a little more mobility.
Correct.
Like Drew Brees was not immobile. He learned how to play. When you learn how to play quarterback at the NFL level, you should not have to leave the pocket because you just have to have pocket awareness. Correct. I mean, you look at all the top quarterbacks in the league, they don't scramble out of the pocket. They scramble within the pocket, and they create throwing lanes with their feet, and they avoid rushes with their feet. They just don't take off, Tom Brady don't get sacked over,
Everyone gets sacked.
Let's talk about him next.
Historically, Tom Brady doesn't get sacked. Aaron Rodgers doesn't get sacked. Drew Brees doesn't get sacked. Tom Brady never got, or Peyton Manning never got sacked. These guys understand that the ball has to come out of your hand. It has to get out. You have to create throwing lanes with your feet. You have to understand where people are. And Baker's going to learn that, where he doesn't have to escape the pocket. But he reminds me a lot of a young Drew Brees. Just giving his receivers a chance. That's where I was going with that originally. Because that Rashard Higgins throw, he allowed Rashard Higgins to run under the football.
Yeah.
He threw it to a spot where the DB was not going to be. It's not like...
Because he let the play overdevelop. I mean, it was...
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like this play was designed to go right there.
Nope.
You were 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds into this play, and he just... It was a free release, a jailbreak or whatever, and he just flings it into a spot and gave Higgins a chance to run under it. That's playmaking ability. Yep. That's throwing him open.
He's got a lot of Drew Brees in the pocket, and he's got a lot of Ben Roethlisberger to his game out of the pocket.
True. Yeah.
I mean, he's very good at improvising, buying the line time, buying the receivers time, and putting it where it needs to go on the money. I'm nothing but impressed with Baker, and I think the Browns are going to at least... And I'm not being overly optimistic. I think the Browns are at least going to tack on 2 to 3 more wins before the season's over. And to me, that's a success.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anything better than 0 is a success compared to last year. I think that they would have been in better shape if they had not brought back Hugh Jackson. Just straight from the get-go.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be mean. Like, the guy doesn't even... He apparently
We're talking
has
about
a
the
job.
Browns, though.
Apparently he has a job now, but if they would have just started the season with pretty much anybody else.
Oh yeah. They probably would have won 2 extra games. They probably would have went into Atlanta.
His best season as a head coach was
4
500, and that was with the Raiders. I don't know, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
the Raiders are like, we see something we don't like here. So, and the Raiders are basically the Browns now, and they knew better. So, come on.
The new Browns.
Yeah. I saw the Captain Phillips meme. He's like, look at me. Look at me. I'm the Browns now. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you, Internet. I hate you. You win.
So true, though.
It is the
It
truth.
is. It is.
Hey, interesting fact. Baker Mayfield, over the last 4 weeks, he's the number 6 quarterback. There's some buys in there.
I
you
like
know?
it.
There's some Big Ben, Matthew Ryan, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz buys in there, but he's still, I mean, putting up the numbers.
Nice.
Hey,
Dude, and looking good doing it. I mean, he's
winning doing it.
one of those.
Competitive.
There's no debate about who the best rookie quarterback has been. Zero debate.
No,
There's no one else that
Darnold's
can be
fallen off a cliff.
Yeah,
Josh
Rosen-
Allen didn't make it to the cliff, neither did Josh Rosen.
Right.
They were just like, I'm not hiking up there.
No.
We're just stay down here at the bottom of the cliff for another season.
I'm going to go with no whenever you want to get to this cliff.
See you, Sam.
Now, I will say the Cardinals' offense looked better. They were in the game until late. Byron Leftwich did the right thing and is getting David Johnson involved. David Johnson is now a 30-point fantasy threat again, week in, week out. He got the volume on both sides. He got targeted and he got carries, and they're going in the right direction.
As many fantasy points he had, was he playing defense too? I mean, good Lord.
He put up a solid game, unlike Tom Brady, who I wanted to talk about next. Nit, has he drawn your ire yet as a Tom Brady owner? Are you aggravated at the 2 touchdownless games in a row
No, he
from
had a touchdown last
TB12?
week.
Did he?
Yeah, he hit Josh Gordon late.
I didn't think he did.
Positive, I watched it.
Okay. Anyways, still not quite getting.
I'm apparently his jinx because I had him one time for a year, and it wasn't the Matt Schaub year. It wasn't when he got hurt. Like, I traded for him like 2 years after that. And,
Matt Castle.
Matt Castle. And I was like, okay, I'm going to... That's where I was going with that. I actually traded Tom Brady for Matt Schaub. Like, that's... Because, it was actually a good trade. It was... At the time, it was
he
like...
was a good starter for a minute.
Yeah.
Schaub.
Well, he was young for a moment.
And you're
Way
talking
young.
Schaub, not Castle, right?
Not right. Talking
Okay.
about Matt Schaub in the peak of his 2 years of relevance.
He had a moment there where you went out and
He
traded
finished
for him.
he finished the number 2 quarterback.
I was going to say, he was
the
like
season
400
before.
yards a game for
Yeah.
like a 6
Yeah.
game span. You're like, Jesus criminy.
Yeah.
Matt Schaub had just finished as like the number 2 fantasy quarterback, and
like-
then was in the middle of at the back end of
Yeah.
another good year. And I was like, I had traded for Brady in the offseason. He'd done nothing. I'm like, I'm getting rid of this cat. He's probably done anyway.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
Matt Schaub was like an Aaron Brooks part 2.
5 years ago? Excuse me?
Yeah.
You still had Matt Schaub 5 years ago?
I don't know.
Okay.
This
It
this
decent
was
time
pushing
ago.
a decade, I think.
Okay,
It had to be
I hope
pushing
so.
a decade.
Yeah.
I don't remember Matt
But
Schaub.
I'm
Schaub
his
starting
jinx.
5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm his jinx. That's what it comes down to. But
Yeah. Well, keep owning him because I like it.
He'll be
I
fine.
I like the fact that the Patriots dropped one to a Tennessee offense that all of a sudden looked like the Rams. Derrick Henry scoring touchdowns left and right.
Jesus Christ.
Corey
What?
Davis scored a touchdown. Derrick Henry had a good game. He didn't get the volume, but I think he averaged 5 yards a carry, punched it in 2 times. Mariota looked fantastic. Corey Davis looked fantastic.
Corey Davis looked really good.
Real good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Janu had some catch.
Janu!
We called the Tom Brady sit and the Jonnu start.
And Matt Breida. Matt Breida was
you
the call
called it.
last week. And Matt Breida had himself a nice game. 2 touchdowns, 100 yards rushing. Giants just can't stop anyone.
Yeah.
They just can't do it.
Yeah.
The
you
Giants,
say? The
Giants can't
Giants?
do it. Yeah,
he's
Matt
saying-
Breida.
Oh,
Big
my
game
bad.
out of
That's
Breida, which was one of our not so obvious starts of the week. And worked out pretty well. Let's talk about some other happenings. The Bills. I started the Jets defense in a ton of leagues.
I felt like either
Very
one of those
upset about it.
either one was a great defense to start in that game.
Man, I wish I'd have picked the Bills. They're on the wire. Nobody has the Bills defense on their redraft teams.
They'll remain there. Like, you just leave that on the wire because nobody wants the Bills defense. They're going to get slaughtered, 8 out of 10 times. It's just they happen to play the Jets 2 of those 10. So I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense to me.
AFC East is just so wonky. You have no idea, besides the Patriots, what team is going to win, lose, get blown out, blow someone out. You just don't know.
But again, the Patriots go out and lose to the Titans, who are frankly, they're a pretty mediocre team. They do look like they're an improving team. As does that
they
whole
could be
division.
a second. They could be a second half. I would not be surprised if the Titans were a second half. Not a force to be reckoned with, but a second half nuisance for a lot of teams.
Titans, Colts, Texans. Titans, Colts, Texans.
Jaguars are regressing. Though.
Yeah.
But that's suddenly a very competitive division.
And if you're beginning of the season, it's a walk away. Like, you're thinking Jaguars all the way. Houston might be able to make some noise depending on how Deshaun Watson comes back from injury.
Titans did make the playoffs last year, right? I think
Yeah,
they
they
snuck
did.
in. So I mean, but new coach and a lot. We didn't think it was going to happen.
My nephew was like, "Man, I hope the Titans make the playoffs," and he's a Steelers fan, and I hope they draw the Patriots in the first round. I'm like, "You do know how that's going to turn out, right?" He's like, "How?" I'm like, "They're going to crush the Titans. Like, the Patriots
More
are
than
going to
likely.
just be like, listen, Daddy's home."
Yeah.
But
Just go lay down.
Is there any possibility that the Titans being Foxborough South, as they said on the broadcast, because you've got Mike Vrabel and he, is there any possibility the Titans know exactly what the Patriots are going to try to do against them and stop?
Absolutely.
I mean,
There's a reason the Lions and the Titans have beat the Patriots this year. It's because Matt Patricia and Mike Vrabel know what exactly, not just what anyone can break down the film, but they know exactly
Historically, how's that
what they
worked
want
out?
to
Though?
do. No,
we're not saying they're going to
I'm
beat
just
them
saying,
in the playoffs.
what I'm saying is historically that's never actually worked for the receiving team of the assistant coach.
No, because
But it has now.
Patriots assistants and that tree that breaks off, Bill Belichick still like, congratulations on your team, but I am still your father, and you will listen to me and lose this game.
Bill Belichick does not have a single assistant, obviously, other than Patricia and currently Vrabel, who has a winning record against Patriots.
Right.
Never.
But now,
Never.
yeah,
but that's in the
Vrabel's
highlight of Tom Brady's career, and he is on very much
he's on the low light.
No Gronk, unhealthy Gronk. Julian Edelman ain't right. Josh Gordon ain't right.
No.
He broke what was it, broken finger, separated or something. He's got a little knick-knack injury. So.
And I got to say, if there's any coach off that tree that I believe in, it's Mike Vrabel. I'm a Mike Vrabel believer. I think he's going to play a balanced game. I think he's a good young mind, a good head coach.
Did he ever actually coach for him? Because I want to say
he was a linebackers coach, and then
DC for he was DC for what, the Titans, and then moved into the head coach role. Am I wrong on this?
Yeah, I think
Or
you're
DC?
wrong on this.
I feel like he was DC
No, he
for
was
somewhere
just
for a
like-
minute.
He
He may have been just linebacker coach. I don't know.
he's just been a linebacker coach. It's been Patricia for the last.
I know
long.
he wasn't
Yeah.
for the Patriots. I know he was never DC.
Yeah,
for
Vrabel
Patriots.
was an off the wall hire when they did it, sort of. But back to the Patriots. Apparently, a report came out that Rob Gronkowski will not be a Patriot next season, and that the Patriots will ship him down the road, even if they have to wheel him down the road in a dolly.
Who said that?
I can't remember the reporter, but that was the title. Was Gronk will be shipped out, even if it has to be by dolly.
Good Lord.
Well, I mean, he's not getting on the field.
That's what we're used to out of Gronk.
By the way, he was DC for the Texans last year.
Okay. Yes, that makes. There we go.
I don't know. There's just a lot of bad stuff going with New England. I don't think
Yeah,
anyone's necessarily
there's a dark cloud.
unhappy about it. Because what Deion Lewis said about them.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh, in this post game, he's like, "Well, when you don't pay your players,
When you go cheap, you get your ass beat.
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, I loved it.
dude." I was like, "Yeah,
That's
that's
good
pretty
stuff.
good."
Then again, come on, Dion. Like, James White makes you look terrible.
I don't
Come
know.
on, man.
I don't know. James White is not good.
Statistically, he is. Let the numbers
He's
bear
not
out.
that good.
He's a good receiving back. But
That's Dion Lewis, though.
I know, but listen, you put James. It's the Patriot effect. You put James White on another NFL team. Now, there's a couple that would still work, but if you ship
Deion Lewis's word.
James White, kind of, they expected more. I think. I think
know.
they expected more. But I mean, you ship James White off to another team, he's not putting up those numbers. he's a slot receiver on the Patriots. Another team will get him, and he'll be the running back out of the backfield, the third down back catch passes, and his reception total gets cut in half. I mean, there's something to be said for the Patriots system and being able to make any running back. Rex Burkhead, some of the names that have been relevant, even if only for a minute in New England, tells you about their system. I mean, there's
Jonas Gray,
not even in the league. What do you have? Like, he had a 200-yard game with him and a handful of 100-yard
I don't know,
games.
but I bet I cut that guy 4 times. And it's like he got cut by the Patriots. I'm like, well, he's never going to play anywhere else if he's not making it on the Patriots because they don't care about the quality of running back. They sign him again. He starts. I'm like, Jesus criminy, Jonas Gray. Stop it. Stop.
Yep.
That's a real person?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a roper.
No, I remember.
Yeah, it is.
Typical flash in a pan at running back.
Yeah, I mean, they could sign Tim Hightower today, and he'd have a 100-yard game next week.
They just signed Tim Hightower.
Boom. There you go. Just pick up for the week.
I could see that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Let's run through some fantasy relevant players this week, and we'll talk about some more game stuff. But
If you want to.
quarterback, the Roethlisberger was the number 1 quarterback, and okay, this transitions me perfectly because the number 2 quarterback was Mitchell Trubisky, and if I'm in the playoffs, I'm terrified to face Chicago. Terrified to face Chicago because their offense is progressing as the season goes on with an already good defense. This offense is good.
After a slow start to the season, like Trubisky's kind of caught fire.
Trubisky's caught fire. Tariq Cohen is a great weapon. Anthony Miller has caught fire. Ned, I know you're a Miller guy. I am too. He's caught fire. I think he's got a couple 100-yard games in a row. Been in the end zone 2 games in a row.
This is a modern offense. I mean, it's as close to like Kansas City as you can get. Anthony Miller's like kind of progressing in the poor man's Tyreek Hill. You got the big body outside in Allen Robinson. You got the shifty back in Tariq Cohen. I mean,
The problem is you have to combine Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard to get 80% of Kareem Hunt.
But you don't. I don't know. You could use Tariq Cohen slightly differently than Kareem Hunt. And you could, at this point, like I said last podcast and on Grade of the Trade, I mean, Jordan Howard's worthless to this. I'm sorry.
I'm just talking about
He won't be in Chicago next season.
I'm going to be a little harsh and just be like, he's worthless to that offense.
To that offense, yes. If he gets traded and goes somewhere where he could be a bell cow, then maybe
he's
gets
Derrick Henry last year to the Titans.
Yes.
Like he can grind out. If you keep him fresh, he's a load to take down whenever you're a gas defense trying to get a 3 and out. Like I would be terrified if I played almost an hour of football and then I saw Jordan Howard come into the game fresh.
Yeah.
I would be terrified. However, if it's the first quarter, I'm like, this guy's slow. He's
what
gonna get
what I'm getting at is Kareem Hunt can break tackles. Tariq Cohen can only make people miss more than
I don't know.
Cohen's not like there's no reason to make Cohen your main back in Chicago. But I mean,
I get what you're saying. Smaller, but
yeah, you don't pay Jordan Howard though. Like you could draft a guy in the 4th round and have him play that Howard role in that offense. You don't have to pay Jordan Howard.
No, absolutely not.
But
you could literally get LeGarrette Blount.
Let's not go too far.
I mean,
I watched the Lions hand the ball to LeGarrette Blount this weekend, and all I could think about was you bitching about LeGarrette Blount because that's what LeGarrette Blount did. Exactly what you complained about. He'd get a half a yard and get pushed back. He'd get a yard and he'd get pushed back. It's like, man, he's done. He is done. Why are they giving him the ball? LeGarrette Blount shouldn't be getting a single carry. Unlike Superman Frank Gore, who again put up almost 100 yards on the ground, but.
So there were some interesting names up towards the top. So you got Nick Chubb at 176 yards. To that, Uptill
he was electric.
Uptill was 92-yard touchdown run. I mean, he had 74 yards on 19 carries. Or I guess if you take out the 92-yard touchdown run. So
still a solid day.
It is a solid day, but that's literally I mean,
he would have been the number 14 running back without that.
He's Carlos Hyde. And then he adds a 92-yard touchdown on.
Yeah.
Like, he does everything Carlos Hyde did before, and he adds a 92-yard
He had
touchdown.
a touchdown pass, too. He had some big plays for the team.
I love him.
I really like Chubb.
That's where I was getting. What's his value going forward? Is he a top 5, top 10, top 15?
I think he's a top 10 pick in startup leagues next season. Redraft leagues, I think he's a top 10 as well. I think he's a top 10. He's on the back end. Unless he finishes the season out with multiple 100-yard games and some receptions. Receptions are the key to whether he's just a top 10 at the back end or if he's inching towards 5. But it's hard to predict if he's going to get many receptions because Duke Johnson is their pass catching back, and it's all going to depend. I like Chubb as a top 10 going into next season.
I mean, he caught 3 for 3 targets, averaging 11 yards a pop.
I think he'll always get at least one to 3 receptions. It's a matter of can he become more reliable in the pass game and go up to that Melvin Gordon-like status.
Typically, they do in year 2 for rookie. It's not that they become better pass catching backs; they're better at pass pro. You know,
Yes.
they're reliable on a passing situation to protect the quarterback when they're not involved in the play. So, yeah, I expect a progression from there, kind of making Duke Johnson a little more expendable in the next offseason. You know, talking about between 19 and 20.
Yeah, you don't want to tie all your money up in running backs, as Deion Lewis says. You know,
Yeah, Nick Chubb is a 3-down back. Just he might be another year away.
Okay.
Maybe another year away.
Or 3 based on that contract.
they've got
Based on
they
Duke's
have
contract.
a good basis on that offense if they can either add a receiver or if Callaway can step up or someone.
I just feel like the chemistry's got to get there with Baker. I don't think that Jarvis Landry's the problem. I just think that they're just not quite in sync yet. It'll happen. I mean, once he starts trusting Jarvis Landry the way he trusts, for some ungodly reason, David Njoku to throw him 13 balls a game, like, you know, I don't know. And he's actually hitting Njoku in the hands. Maybe he just got to realize that the speed difference or something. I don't know. But so on down the list, Breda's, you know, most of the names are usual suspects. I mean, you're buying Johnson, right? Buying David Johnson doing
Absolutely.
something similar to this going forward. Maybe not 30 points or 38 points, but having a productive,
similar. I think
top 10 production going forward.
I think he's good for 20 plus the rest of the way.
Middle,
Who?
David Johnson.
David Johnson.
You talking top 10 going forward?
Oh, I like. We talked about David Johnson as a guy you acquire for
Yes.
a
Yeah, we
playoff
did.
push and a championship push. Like David Johnson is absolutely positively a stud, and they're going to get him more involved. Byron Leftwich, I like that name drop.
Byron Leftwich, baby. What about Aaron Jones? Are we buying him rest of season? He had a breakout game. Looked really good against a hapless Miami Dolphins rush defense, but he did look really explosive, really quick, caught the ball well. He's gotten better in pass pro his second year. Aaron Jones brings a lot to the table if they're going to commit to him.
I mean, to me, he's far and away the best running back that they've got. I mean, Jamal Williams had 3 carries for 3 yards in that game. They finally committed, I guess, to Aaron Jones, and why go away from it going forward? I mean, Jones last year averaged, I think, 1.5 yards more a carry than Jamal Williams did. Now, a lot of that you can make the argument, well, he did that, but they've got Aaron Rodgers, and they got to respect the pass. Of course, but they still have Aaron Rodgers, and you still have to respect the pass. Give Aaron Jones the lion's share of the carry and let that guy feast. Now, is he going to get, 2 touchdowns and 145 yards on the ground? Nah, not every week. But it wouldn't surprise me if he always kind of remained above that 75 mark going forward. And, you know, if he gets into the end zone with that, that's what you basically need. Add a few receptions, your money.
Yeah, I like him going forward. I acquired him before the trade deadline in one of my leagues because I needed a number 2 running back, and I feel like he can give you that production. So I do like him going forward. Another guy that had his breakout game, which I don't expect to continue because they have already talked about the other guy coming back and being excited about it. But Rashad Penny looked freaking good yesterday.
He did.
He was
dire running game.
quick.
Yeah, he is.
He got to the outside quick. He burst through the holes quick. Rashad Penny showed why he was a first-round pick yesterday, and I was impressed.
Bounce cuts, vision, speed to beat the defense. I mean, he showed a little bit of it all. The only except for in the receiving game, but that was how they were attempting to beat the Rams, was to dominate the ground, and
Almost
frankly,
worked.
It did almost work. But yeah, I'm with you. Rashad Penny looked like a first-round draft pick yesterday. He wasn't called upon for number 1 duties, but given the chance, like he made a lot of good cuts to daylight, and it wasn't just small daylight. It was home runs he was trying to hit. So I kind of like where he's at, but I'm still a Mike Davis fan. Mike Davis can bang it in the middle of the.
Who?
Yeah, Mike Davis.
Oh. Mike.
He runs hard, runs heavy.
He had a good game too. He put
I
up
was
18
gonna say,
points
he ended
in our
up
league.
ahead of Rashad Penny on the fantasy wire there.
Yep, he sure did.
We could talk about Rashad Penny. Like, I'm just saying, don't forget that there's some other good backs there. I mean, when you add in Chris Carson, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well,
Cool the hype on
Yeah.
as good as Rashad Penny looked, he's still not going to be the lead role guy.
And I'm not calling him rest of the season.
That's what I was going
as
to
a
say.
guy as a guy to acquire if you could even still trade.
Target in the offseason, though?
Target in the offseason, possibly.
But what are you giving up for him?
Probably too much.
Because
you're going to have to
depends
overpay
on your
for him.
roster construction.
I think
For
you're
me,
going to have to pay the same price you did for a Chris Carson this year. Because
I'm
I'd say
okay
more
paying
than
that. Yeah, if it's, I say you have to pay Rashad Penny preseason prices.
man,
All it takes is a couple games.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that yet. I mean,
I'm
I
not.
guess if he rides out the season with 3 more 100-yard games, it looks like it's worth it.
I think if he tacks on at least, like if he gets the opportunity in one more game going forward and does the same thing, I'm buying.
Okay.
But if Chris Carson has a string of 100-yard games and looks good, I'm not buying because year 2 is probably going to be a lot like year 1 with just a dash more carries and a little bit more relevance.
All right. One more name to talk about that, do you believe it or not? Derrick Henry. Is this what he is, or is he what he's been literally every other game?
I don't trust him.
He's turd.
I don't trust him at all.
I mean, he falls forward for a yard. Great job, Derrick.
Yeah,
Usually it's for
don't
half
trust
yard.
him. He looks better.
He's getting hit in the backfield and falls forward for still a half yard. I mean, what the heck?
They're using their running backs better, but I'm still not buying. I would have bought a few weeks ago at the bottom of his value just for games like this, bye week plays, but that's about it.
I'm not touching this one. Like, as soon as I say something, the opposite will happen on Derrick Henry. So,
Are you an owner?
huh?
Are you an owner?
No, I got rid of him
Okay.
for a first. Like I ripped
The other
somebody
person
off.
got hosed.
Nice sale.
But then he goes on a hot streak of touchdown hot streak. Yeah, I'm not jumping in the water on that one. He's just I wish he was good. I wish him the best, but maybe a little too big for the NFL.
We'll talk some wide receivers. Ended on LaShawn McCoy. Best game in forever. Arms is like, yeah, I know, bro.
F. LaShawn McCoy.
So we have
F. Shady.
we love back row battles, and we had the back row battle of Nit versus Arms in our main league, and it's dubbed the battle for the Copper Cross.
Ye old Copper Cross.
Ye old Copper Cross, and Nit put it to him a little bit. You know, little LaShawn McCoy and
I mean, LaShawn
and Allen
McCoy
Robinson.
and Allen Robinson had the best game of the year. Now, granted, as Chad said, you cut their points in half. Well,
still
if-
would've won.
If you look at the numbers they put together, you'd had to cut their points in third to make the average of what they normally do. But anyhow,
He's so
I
bad.
ended up getting beat. I think I ended up with a guy who got injured in the first quarter, a linebacker, and then I ended up. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter.
It doesn't
And
matter.
Golden Tate, I ended up getting shafted by the.
You sound like an NFL head coach at a press conference who's trying to keep his job.
First off, I pay
Here-
the league fee in that. I'll keep my job if I want to.
Will Arms get fired from the Carolina Copperbeards this week?
Well, here's the reason I didn't win.
Gross
The other team
team
was just
management.
the other team. They just played way over their talent level, and we had a couple guys get hurt, and I didn't play the right players.
I let the
Actually,
deadline.
if you look at my roster, I did play the right players.
I let the deadline go by without upgrading over Derek Carr, and it's affecting the Copperbeards the rest of the way.
You couldn't trade for Eli Manning in that league.
Dak Prescott was waiting on you.
Arms has a really good team top to bottom, and well, Golden Tate sucks all of a sudden, but
Bottom to right
Bo-
before
bottom,
top.
yeah, bottom to right above that running back one slot, and then you got Derek Carr leading a team of Kamara and Michael Thomas and Golden Tate,
And Joe Mixon,
and
Travis
Kelce. And there's even some good defensive guys in there, Landon Collins, but you got Derek Carr leading the way, and that just spells disaster for your fantasy team.
It does. Like I'm the weight. I'm the biggest weight on the
I could have
quarterback
gave
guy
you Nick
ever.
Mullins, bro. All you had to do was ask.
He did finish 4 spots above Derek Carr, which wouldn't have mattered.
Boom.
Wouldn't have mattered. That
Nick
5 points wouldn't make a
Mullins.
difference. So let's move on over to receiver.
I could talk about this the rest of the episode.
Me too.
Well,
Just
I've
talking
only
about the
got
Copperbeards.
about 7 minutes.
It's the Copperbeard special. No, Zay Jones is the surprise of the week at wide receiver. Apparently, if Matt Barkley plays, you can play Zay Jones safely. He had a touchdown, and he also had plenty of receptions and a little bit of yards. Didn't break the 100-yard mark, but I wouldn't buy this. 8 for 93. But yeah, Zay Jones, I am not buying rest of season, nor am I buying any Bill, for that matter, even McCoy.
Maybe have him on your bench to see if he does it for a few more weeks, but nah, you can't put a lot of stock in him. Chad, anything you'd like to input on that?
No, I don't. I do not like Zay Jones. Sorry.
No.
That offense. I mean, that was just
Aberration.
They were playing a team that's frankly worse than them in the Jets. That's the only reason Zay Jones had much input or much to do with that game. They established the run, which freed up Zay Jones. They were just trying to stop Shady McCoy and whatever other running back was in Marcus Murphy. Yeah, I mean, they were running the ball at will against the Jets, which eventually came to all the receivers are open. Robert Foster, an undrafted rookie, had 100 yards receiving for the Bills in this game.
What you know about Robert Foster?
Robert Foster.
I clicked on his name.
I clicked him.
He's from Alabama.
Clicky, clicky.
He went to Alabama. He probably didn't play.
Stud.
Wow.
He's probably a
Stud.
4-star recruit. Never saw the field.
Much like most of Alabama's players.
And is the premier receiver on the Bills.
Alshon didn't help you this week. Mike Evans didn't help you this week. Calvin Ridley didn't help you this week. DJ Moore didn't help you this week, unfortunately.
Couple names, though.
Kind of sad.
So we talked about the Allen Robinson,
Marquez Valdez.
the boom week of
Marquez.
him. And Robinson has, some ups and downs. I mean, but when healthy, he's over, he's 8 points plus, right? Most of his games are 10 points or more. And I know Chad's going to like to hear this, but to round out basically the fantasy playoffs, you're going back against the Lions week 12, week 13 against the Giants, week 14 against a Rams defense that allows a lot of passing yards, week 15 against the Packers, and week 16, if you're still playing, it's against the Niners.
Huge opportunity
And then-
for Allen Robinson.
And same thing with Anthony Miller. So they're both.
Yeah.
I mean, those might be guys that if you still have trading ability on your in your league,
Yeah.
maybe some guys to target. I mean, they've got a soft schedule going forward.
Yeah. Were we talking about Cooper Kupp on the air? I know we said,
We did. We talked about his ACL tear.
and I said I don't think I said I dropped him on the air. I dropped him for Andrew Miller or Anthony Miller.
Wow.
In the redraft, right?
Yeah, and he was
Okay.
available. He's still available. So good switch there. This Bears offense can light it up over the next 6 weeks. Expect buy all Bears right now, except Jordan Howard.
I'm in on the Bears. I'm in on the Bears as a playoff disruptance. They look great. They look really good.
The difference between the Bears and obviously the offense, leans towards the Rams, but the Bears actually have a legitimate defense.
Oh God!
Like they're not just like, oh, we're beating people by 30, but the other team's scoring 25.
Yeah,
Like they're the
And they're 6-3. I mean, they've got a winning record. It's not something that they just started doing, winning games. They've been winning games. Now they're just winning them more convincingly on offense.
Khalil Mack is a freight train. He is a locomotive of a human being.
Yeah.
Like you cannot stop. Did you see the sack that he had? Where
Don't trade that guy if you got him as an NFL team. Don't.
stiff arms the chipping tight end, puts a spin move on the left tackle, leaps over the running back, and then destroys the quarterback off of one leg. That's one play. That is one play. Stiff arm, rip inside, hurdle a guy, sack. Like the guy's just he makes that team so much better. So much better.
I mean, basically, him and Roquan are the major differences. That's
Roquan
it.
had 13 total tackles this week. Like he's coming into that top 10 linebacker spot like we predicted him before the season. He is turning it on.
Stud.
All right, on over to tight ends.
Yes. It's all about Indianapolis, who plays a 3 tight end offense.
Mo
It's
Alley
a great
Cox.
Mo Alley Cox picked him up in my 32 teamer. He's paying dividends for me.
Just keeps getting touchdowns. You're like, who?
Mo Alley.
Dude played basketball somewhere last year. Like, it just mind blowing. Zach Ertz is doing something special this year.
Yeah, you would
Good
think
Lord.
Ebron with 3 touchdowns would be the guy this week. Nope, it's Zach Ertz.
I mean,
He raises the bar every week.
14 catches for 145 yards. I mean, there's now 2 tight ends.
He's like Golden who?
There are literally 2 tight ends in the league, all right, that you want. Then it's George Kittle, right? And after that, it's awful. Because right now it's Kelsey and Ertz, and that's it. There's
Kelsey
nobody else.
Ertz by themselves. Dude,
Kelsey
George Kittle, Eric Ebron, and sadly Austin Hooper kind of
I
on tier
know.
2.
Austin Hooper made a couple great catches this weekend.
He's a good receiving threat.
I take
man.
everything back about Austin Hooper.
Thank
he
you,
is
guys.
the real deal.
It took
As
the
a
guy
top 5.
10 catches to get 56 yards.
I don't care. That's
Game flow.
PPR. That's 10 points off the rip.
That's because you were getting slaughtered by the Browns. So,
Yeah, you know.
hey, listen.
Would you rather have Austin Hooper or Evan Ingram right now?
Yeah.
Who,
I
who do you want?
if you're for the playoff stretch,
Put your money where your mouth is and say Evan Ingram.
I would rather have Evan Ingram.
for the playoff stretch.
Yeah.
That's
The Giants are
why
getting.
you lost to me, bro.
That's why the Copperbeards are
Does
firing Aaron Arms
do
this
either
week.
one of us have Hooper or Ingram?
I have
No.
I have both of them in my other league.
Oh,
On the same
okay.
squad,
That's
and I'm
not.
playing Hooper.
I have-
That's not our league.
I have Ingram and Chris Herndon, and I've started Chris Herndon the last 2 weeks in one of my leagues.
Hey, you just said for the rest of the season.
He's outproduced him.
For the rest.
Who?
For the
Oh,
rest.
Herndon.
Ingram, over Ingram.
Yeah,
okay.
but Eli actually got a little bit of protection last night.
A little bit.
He looked fairly competent as an NFL quarterback.
Oh, it's taking it far.
Did you watch the game?
Take
Back to his
As
days.
a Copperbeards fan, I'm demanding the firing of their GM.
Listen, I'm just saying that there were 4 seconds points in time. He had 4 seconds to throw the damn ball. Didn't have that the whole rest of the year.
I'll give you that.
I mean, now
The only two
how
quarterbacks
much?
I've ever seen him own are Eli Manning and Derek Carr.
Well, okay. I picked up Derek Carr after a ridiculously good season. Anyhow,
Yeah.
now, with that being said, it was against the 49ers. So did the offensive line improve or the 49ers just that bad? So that's a big concern about it.
I think the 49ers don't have that difference maker up front that gets the quarterback consistently.
DeForest Buckner's good, man.
But he's just blockable.
How good is he? Because I needed 17 points out of DeForest Buckner last night.
My name DeForest.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, I
Didn't
mean,
happen.
there wasn't a lot of 17-point producers on
The line.
the entire defense in all of my fantasy leagues. So
We'll have to touch on some IDP in the next episode, but
there's about 5.
DeForest's just been consistent. He's not an overthrow.
decent.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not a Khalil Mack. He's not a difference or disruptor. He's not Aaron Donald. He's nowhere near these guys.
We are starting to see some consistency at tight end. I mean, the names in the top 10, you got your sprinkling of turd flakes along the way, but it is Ertz, it is Ebron, it's Hooper, it's Kittle. Vance McDonald is kind of in that top 10 most of the time. Janu is breaking into the top 10. Kelsey's still there, Ricky Seals-Jones, Trey Burton. I mean, it's names, so we're getting a little bit of consistency out of the landscape.
Yeah.
But I don't see anyone that I'm rushing out to grab for the stretch run. It's not Mo Alley Cox.
There's no Mo Alley Cox available. out
It's
there.
not a Rams tight end for me. But Niddle, were you saying earlier that you do like one of the
No.
Rams tight ends rest of the
No.
way? No.
That was his argument against Josh Reynolds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was making the case against Josh Reynolds going into the Cooper Kupp full-time role. Like, Gerald Everett's going to get some playing time split out as a wide receiver. I'm not endorsing Gerald Everett whatsoever.
So big, obviously huge game coming up. Rams versus the Chiefs. I mean, does this kind of
I would say it's a
it-
Super Bowl preview, but the Saints are skewing my view.
well? That's
Amen.
where I was going with this. So with the now absence of Cooper Kupp, and he's not coming back this year, of course. Is it the Saints Chiefs? Like, is that what we're looking forward to, that showdown?
I like the experience of Drew Brees. I think Jared Goff is a fine quarterback, and he's a good one. There's no debate anymore. He's a really good quarterback. Last year in the offseason, we talked about the Rams just needing a little more seasoning, as Nick likes to call it. I'm not sure if they're seasoned enough to get past the Saints, but it could go either way.
I think they needed all of the weapons.
They're young enough though. I mean, they're fresh enough. I like the receiving core without core more than I like your boy Michael Thomas in that receiving core. Just because there's no one when you're signing Brandon Marshall.
Oh yeah,
you need another. There's no tight end there. Tyler Higbee's been okay when they call upon him. I mean,
now the difference is
Kamara
and Ingram.
Yeah,
I mean you've got a good running back in Ingram, and then you've got another one in Kamara. You've got a game breaker in Kamara. Gurley's a game breaker too, but I mean I think you have to account for both running backs for the Saints in that equation. Breeze, 2 running backs, Michael Thomas, Gurley, Goff, Woods, and Cooks. So to me, it's kind of like 4-on-4.
Yeah, but you can play both receivers at the same time.
You can play both running backs at the same
time.
No,
they're scary with both. The Saints are scary with both receivers. They'll run a fake screen to Kamara. That's how Ingram scored his touchdown, was a fake screen to Kamara. The defense just flows that way.
Yep.
And they basically throw not a naked screen back the other way, but like just
naked.
Just one. They just have one lineman pulling. They send the entire line with Kamara, fake it that way, and then you got one lineman and a receiver downfield.
Yeah, you don't have that with the Rams. Don't get me wrong, you've got better receivers, a better core from top to bottom, really, but you don't have that dual running back threat.
Yeah,
it's
that'll be a fun one.
It'll be a real fun one, and the Aqib Talib coming back. So that I mean the loss of Kupp, the addition of Aqib Talib back on the team,
Talib didn't look that great before he went out, though.
He can be. He can
do
that
maybe.
Everyone has a bad game or two.
And then flipping over to the Chiefs, that's a game where, we're doing that Saints preview there. If it happens,
NFC Championship preview.
I feel like there's a little bit of slowing down with the Chiefs. Not a lot.
Tyreek ain't
little.
Where? Like, where are they slowing down? Because you can't throw 6 touchdown passes every game.
No, what? But when you were used to throwing 4 to 6, when you throw 2, that's slowing down. I mean, it's a little bit of a slowdown. 26 points. That's okay. They won, but
I think we kind of called that. We said like
below their average.
Could have one of his. Oh, you're talking about that. My bad. I thought you were talking about Pat Mahomes. The way he ended his day.
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, the whole team was fine, but fine's not what we've seen out of the Chiefs this season.
Fine, I'll give you that.
Slow
down a little bit.
Not saying it's going to continue, but
you can't run as high octane. What Arms is saying is as high octane as that offense is. You can't run on jet fuel all season long. No.
Luckily, they have the Raiders twice in the second half of the season, so I mean you're still going to get 5 touchdown performances out of Patty Mahomes.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe 10.
Right.
Maybe 2 10-touchdown performances.
Yep.
Not over both games, just
Yeah, per game.
Game.
And they have Seattle. They have Seattle as well. You can score on Seattle, but they do have Baltimore and the Chargers. I mean, that's in the Rams. So there's
opportunity there. It just depends on which skill player is going to get it.
Right.
They were in control of this game from the start over Arizona. Now Arizona threatened. They threat Arizona. We said it. Arizona has one of the best secondaries in the league. They truly do have I believe
Patrick Peterson, Budda Baker. I mean, they're still good.
That's a vaunted defense. If secondary.
Yes, I was going to say worst running.
I did that on purpose. But that's a good defensive secondary.
Correct.
Good enough to keep Patrick Mahomes
in order to beat Arizona, you just don't have to pass the ball. And that's the one thing. If you look at what Patrick Mahomes does, he struggles a little bit. Now, 2 touchdowns, still good, still the 14th overall quarterback, but he struggles a little bit against elite secondaries. Just look at the numbers. Look at who he
plays normal against elite secondaries.
Yeah, there you go.
Struggled by Pat Mahomes standards.
Nick Mullins, if Nick Mullins would have had the Patty Mahomes game, we'd have been like, Nick Mullins is a real deal, folks.
MVP Nick Mullins.
Real deal, Nick Mullins.
Real quick before we wrap it up, I do want to point out one thing because people might miss it. Deion Jones
Coming
back. So
Baby, come back.
just get him in your lineups. He'll walk in. Why
Guess
not?
who's
Why not
back?
play him week one
Back
when he
again.
comes back? So,
Deion's back.
anything else?
Tell a friend.
I'm good, man. That's a
I'm
good
good.
wrap.
Thanks for wrapping it with me.
I missed the
Thanks
IDP,
for
but
wrapping it.
we'll hit it up. We'll hit it up as soon as possible.
Yeah, tomorrow night when we record our pregame.
Pre-game.
We'll talk a little IDP real quick,
Amen, brother.
just for the IDP folks. All right. Barks out.
Good night.
Deuces.